Hello, and welcome to another chapter of a tome pulled right off the shelves at the heart of the Jakuls. As always, I'm your judicious host, Lothran, and there's ever so much more data to relay. So let's get to it, shall we? Go grab a filling meal, settle into a cozy spot, and pay accurate attention to Fleet Part 33. Test. Is this a joke? Kam asked of Lotem, and his lead engineers clustered around him, smiling in a very suspicious manner. No, sir. It's think of it as an entrance exam, Lotem replied. You're telling him too much. Just give him the boxes and say the time limit, and then leave the room. One of Lotem's subordinates, the name escaped Kam's mind for now, seemed more than a little perturbed as he argued for the correct procedures. Kam held up his hand, silencing everyone else. That's plenty of explanation. I'll figure out the rest. Lotem looked to his fellow engineers. Everyone shrugged and filed out of the room ahead of him. Sir, you have an hour. Fix it. Kam nodded to Lotem, pulling the big bin labeled parts closer to himself, and then sorting through the random bits of junk to figure out what he was working with. Kam then opened up the container labeled broken. This has to be a trick. Kam thought the words as hard as he'd ever thought anything before. There was too much here. He didn't have a fic. Or he did, but Lotem had told him not to use one. That was fine. But Kam could make a dozen things out of the parts he was given. There was too much here. Lotem tapped on the wall as he exited to sit and watch through a window in the other room with the other engineers. Time to get to work, Commander. Lotem's voice sounded muffled and distant, even with the door hanging open still. Fine. Let's do this. Kam's first goal was to make a torsion lever. He picked up a hardened umbra rod and a micro shard, flicking the shard with his finger, aware that it could blow up in his hand at any moment. He'd done this a few times before. His father had taught him the art of freehand shard tuning when he was no older than 12. When he got the right resonance and color glow, Kam slammed the now flexible shard into the base of the rod and twisted it into place, flicking it again to alter the resonance. This caused the shard to solidify in place seconds before it would have ripped his fingers off of the end of his hand. Kam risked a glance at the engineers in the other room, laughing lightly as he did so. Every last one of them were vying for prime real estate in the window. And Kam got back to work, knowing he was about to show them how a real no-veer engineer looked at the world. After what felt like far too short a period, Lotem strode back into the room. Time's up, sir. Kam withdrew his hands from where he'd been working. Lotem looked at the heap of mostly tools and scanning equipment, not sure what to make of the pile Kam had produced for them. Maybe we should have lowered the time. Wintru, that was his name. Kam finally placed the fellow that had seemed so worried about this experiment. So this was his idea. No, it's Kam. It's Kam. Lotem explained for them. He invented a spaceship by accident in a single night. Lotem eyed up all the loot in front of Kam. I'm starting to think it wasn't so much of an accident. Do we even know if any of that stuff works? Another man asked, but didn't step out from the back of the group, not wanting to reveal his doubt in Kam's abilities. Yes, sorry, sir, but procedure. Wintru began, stepping forward past Lotem and the others, picking up the first device and making a puzzled face in its direction. What are all these things, anyway? Well, that is a VU metal welder. Sort of. That one's kind of delicate, and it'll only work a few times. Cam motioned for Wintru to place the object gingerly back on the table. It generates thread through an array of flakes and shards. I didn't have anything to secure it properly. That's why I built the form melder here next to it. I used that to destabilize some, excuse me, metal mimic thread, and then I took this rapid frost exchanger and cooled the thread back into a relatively safe level to bind the array together. I was going to use the welder, the original torsion lever, and this circular Idril saw to cut the boxes down, and then I would have been able to mod some of these devices to keep the danger of them to a minimum. Lotem emerged once more from the group. All of this stuff on the table works? And you've made it before? And you know exactly how dangerous it is and how to use it in a safe way? Lotem sounded extremely impressed. It was the first time Cam had heard him speak clearly for such a long period of time. Well, I haven't made all of them before. See this active bolt press? I've seen my dad make them from much less, but he had a thing for joiners, and that sort of stuff. This odd little box with a wedge on the end of it manufactures bolts? It just does that. Wintru interrupted, peering at the tiny device, measuring it beside his much larger palm. Well, it won't do them very well. I mean, they won't even be very large, but I figured that if I could get enough work done, I could stabilize. "Don't pick it up that way!" Cam shouted in distress, swatting something out of Lotem's hand and flipping over one of the two empty boxes to throw at the device as it hit the floor. Everyone recoiled against the sudden explosion, just barely contained, as the metal container slammed into the ceiling hard enough to warp its shape into unrecognizable form. Cam expelled an aggravated gust of air. There goes the best piston thread fluid injector I've ever built. Fuck. He paused to take in all of the shocked and alarmed expressions of the other men as they slowly backed away from Cam's bounty of creations. "So, this is some sort of test, right?" he asked of them. Yes. Wintru was the first to speak, but no one else made a move to do so, and some of them quietly fled the room. He continued the conversation, as even Lotem left the space for the safety of being pretty much anywhere else. "We had so many problems figuring out people's skill sets, even after you selected them. Most of your choices were right, but, well, new stuff is invented pretty much every hour, and you see... So you're going to present these boxes to every freshie?" Wintru nodded to answer Cam's question, recognizing the slang Cam was using for new recruits, even experienced ones from other service branches. "I recommend not including this over here in any of the boxes." Cam pointed to a solid-looking metal cylinder he'd carefully put into that corner of the room. What's wrong with that, sir?" Nothing. It's in excellent condition. It's just that it's an active core power inverter. Over there, it's fine. But in a box full of shards, chunks, flakes, and who knows what, it could have blown a hole in the base, at the very least turned this section of bulkheads to a smoldering crater. Oh my. I didn't know that, sir. I'm sorry. It's okay. They're pretty rare, actually. The archivists back home said the VU used them for transmitting power off-worlds. I've never installed one in anything. I've never actually held one. I've just read about it in books and seen the pictures. So I know what it is, but... Cam faded off as if he were thinking of actually using one. Wintru stepped between Cam and the device, hoping to keep himself very much so from exploding anytime soon. So what do you think, sir, of the test? It's good. I like it. How did I do? Cam asked, sounding like he actually didn't know the answer to that question. Very well, sir. Better than, well, anyone imagined. You used a bunch of things I put into the boxes as just, like junk to confuse people. Oh. Kam laughed lightly. Nothing's junk if you know how to use it properly. Kam stood up, brushing himself off, examining the various tools he'd crafted, looking for flaws or failures in his designs. And so it is. Our time together has once more come to a close. I hope each and every one of you enjoyed the tale as much as I have the telling of it. As always, I've been your effective host, Lothrin, and this was Fleet Part 33, Test. Another tale right from the heart of the Jakuls. And now, we must once again part ways. Korvoth, guide them back along the proper path, back to the safety they know all too well.
Yes, sir, Lothrin. Oh, finally, an engineering story again. It warms my heart. I just love this stuff. I love making stuff. Oh, but I got a job to do. Gotta get back to it. A pleasant greeting and a fond farewell to each and all. Please leave all your comments, questions, and kindnesses down below. Don't you let me catch a single one of you leaving any of that mean, rude, or awful stuff, though. You keep all that baloney to yourselves, you got it? Remember to like, share, and subscribe to help us learn, spread, and grow. And don't forget that we strongly implore each and every one of you to stay safe out there. See you again tomorrow for Fleet Part 34. Good night and good luck. You'll need it. Bye-bye, everyone. I hope there's a lot more technical stories headed our way. Yep. Bye-bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye.